Taxes. The one word everyone starting an online store dreads. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way?
I know. Taxes are complex and can seem intimidating, but it's definitely not something that should keep you from creating your own business. A lot of times, frustration with taxes comes from not knowing where to start. So today I want to help you take that first step and get you up to speed with the basics of taxes for print-on-demand sellers. Now, I have to mention that I'm not a certified tax specialist, so you should always consult with a tax expert for specific questions about obligations for your business. My goal is to make sure that by the end of this video, you go from feeling about taxes like this to this. So let's get into it. The first question I've seen popping up is, why do I have to deal with taxes as a print-on-demand store owner? Well, the short answer, you're running a business. And every business needs to fulfill tax obligations. It's a legal requirement, so getting these things sorted is an important step for you. Just like in a physical store, every transaction has tax involved. The same goes for a print-on-demand business. And the type of taxes you have to deal with depend on location. Taxes are different in each country. For example, in the US, there's the sales tax, there's VAT in the EU, GST in Australia, and so on. Since you're a print-on-demand seller, customers can buy from your online store from almost anywhere in the world. So you have to take into account 3 locations: yours, your customers, as well as Printful's as your production partner. For example, if you're running your store from the US, but you sell to customers in Europe, you have to get familiar with VAT. Or if you're based in the US and you're selling to US customers across multiple states, you'll be working with sales tax and have to understand the requirements for each state you see sales rolling in from. So here's the first good news. You don't have to learn everything about all types of taxes out there. Once you understand those 3 main locations for your business and how they'll interact, it's easier to navigate which taxes and what rules apply to you. Now, I won't go into all the specifics of each country's taxes in this video. We'd be here for ages if I did. But since most of you are selling in the US and Europe, let's have a quick look at sales tax and VAT. I've added a curated list of helpful resources with more in-depth info on both these and other selling regions in the description below. Be sure to check them out after the video. We'll start with the US sales tax. This type of tax will apply to orders fulfilled and shipped within the US. It's a state-governed tax, meaning that each state will have different rules on the tax rates, collection, and remission processes. You as a seller have to collect and remit sales tax for states where you have nexus. Nexus is the term used to describe when you as a business have a presence in one of the states. 2 of the most common ways how you can have nexus are if your company has a physical location in the state, yes, even if the location is your living room couch, or if you reach a sales threshold set by the state, even if you're not physically located there. If you fall into either of these categories for a certain state, you'll have to register for a sales tax permit in that state and collect and remit taxes. Printful will charge you sales tax for orders fulfilled and shipped within the US based on the order delivery address. We won't charge sales tax for your orders if you've submitted a resale certificate for the states you're selling to. You can get a resale certificate once you've registered for a sales tax permit. And the good part here is that many states allow an out-of-state resale certificate option, meaning that if you get a resale certificate for one state, it can be valid in other states. There are a few states that don't accept out-of-state certificates. For those, you have to register separately. Once you have your resale certificate, you can submit it in your billing settings in the Printful dashboard. We'll review it, and once approved, we'll stop charging you sales tax for the orders going out to those states. Those are the basics of US sales tax. Before we move on, remember to check the video description for more in-depth resources after the video. I've linked a great guide by TaxJar that can be your starting point. Let's travel across the ocean now to Europe and look at the basics of how VAT works with Printful. VAT, or Value Added Tax, applies to all orders shipped to customers in one of the European Union member states. Other European countries that aren't part of the EU, for example, the UK, also use VAT. But to keep things simple for this video, let's look at the EU VAT as an example. Whether you'll have to register as a VAT payer will depend on location and sales volumes. If you're based in an EU country, the first thing you have to check is your country's domestic sales threshold. The domestic threshold represents the total volume of your annual sales. Once you reach the threshold, you have to register as a VAT payer and charge VAT from your customers. Another important thing you need to keep an eye on if you're based in the EU is the distance selling threshold. This means how much you're making in sales in other EU countries. If you reach the distance selling threshold, you have to register as a VAT payer there as well. Now, if you're based outside the EU, for example, the US, but sell to customers in Europe, you also need to register as a VAT payer. In this case, you can choose to register in the country where you've made the most sales, and similar to EU-based sellers, you need to keep an eye on the distance selling threshold for other countries. The good news is that the EU has created an electronic one-stop shop called the OOS to make the process for registering and overseeing your VAT obligations easier. Printful will charge VAT on all orders shipped to an address in the EU. Similar to the US sales tax, VAT rates will be different for each country, and they generally range from 15% to 27%. But once you register as a VAT payer in an EU country, you receive a VAT ID. If you submit your VAT ID to us, we'll charge you a 0% VAT rate, with some exceptions in countries where we have our fulfillment locations. You can submit your VAT ID to us in your billing settings in the Printful dashboard. We have an in-depth video guide on VAT specifically, so I won't go into too much more detail for now. The video is linked down below, so make sure to watch it as your next step in understanding VAT. Now, remember what I said in the beginning of the video? When dealing with taxes, you should always look for a professional to help you better understand and set up taxes for your specific situation. Not only will this help you make sure you're doing everything correctly, it'll also save you time you could be spending on the, let's be honest, more enjoyable parts of running your own business. And you can start small. Sometimes help is just around the corner. You can try to see if there's a tax consultant or legal professional within your social circle, ask your family or friends if they've ever needed a tax specialist's help and can refer someone to you. If no luck there, you can look up experts or companies online. Services like TaxJar or Avalara can pretty much handle all of your tax requirements for you, so you don't have to worry about a single thing. And that's it. See? Not that bad. Your first step of learning taxes for print on demand is complete. Now that you're more familiar with the basics, it's time for you to dive deeper and understand the specifics relevant to your business. Note down the regions you plan to sell in, bookmark and go through the resources I've added below, and look for a professional who can help you navigate the process with ease. I hope this video was useful to you, and let me know in the comments if I achieved my mission of getting you to feel more like this about taxes.